we're going to have Mr. Peter Wamsteker. 好，那么接下来要请上的是我们的第3位发言嘉宾了，是 Peter Wamsteker 先生。那为大家介绍一下 ，He's going to talk about the importance of the college essay to the application process. He's an experienced teacher from the Townsend Harris High School who have been teaching there for 15 years, and he helped many students to get into their dream schools. 我们请到的这位呢，是在明星高中任教了长达15年的名师，他帮助了很多学生进入了自己梦想当中的名校。希望今天他也可以帮到您。All right, let's say hi to him first. Hi, Mr. Peter Wamsteker. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Take over.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to the World Journal and McDonald's for making this event happen. Thank you for that introduction. Again, my name is Peter, and I am a teacher of English language arts in New York City, but I'm also the senior college admissions consultant at Ivy Road Prep in Flushing, Queens. Bi Sun Chao Yu. At Ivy Road Prep, we help our students succeed in getting into college, the college of their choice, including the Ivy Leagues and the top 50 universities and colleges in the United States. Today, I'm going to speak to you about the importance of the college application essay. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that there are many things that colleges and universities look at before they make an offer of admission. In addition to student grades, SAT scores, and extracurricular activities, colleges are also going to look at your college application essay. Now, this is sometimes referred to as the personal essay, and the word personal is important to distinguish it from other essays you may be asked to write. It is the one opportunity, aside from a personal interview, if you are given a personal interview, where you can let the admissions committee know who you are on a personal level. All right, let's go to slide 2. So one of the things that you should know about is that when you write about what you will write about in your college application essay is going to depend on what the essay prompt is that the college provides. So you may be given a topic, or you may have to come up with one of your own, all right? They may give you, for instance, 3 topics and ask you to write about one of them from your own personal point of view. And so what you should do is choose a topic that you are familiar with. Even if the topic that they give you sounds good, if you don't really care about that topic, it's something that you may want to avoid because it makes it much more difficult to actually write that essay. Most often, though, the colleges are going to ask you why you want to attend their school and what you would be able to contribute to the school and to fellow students. You must remember that you're going to be a part of a community, and a new community at that. And the idea is that you share your own personal experiences growing up with the college admissions committees so that they know what you can contribute, what you have to offer to the school. And each of you has something of value. What you need to do is locate or identify what it is that's most valuable about that and make that the focus of your essay. The third type of essay, and sometimes colleges will ask some kind of creative. They'll give you a creative kind of prompt. I had a student a few years back who applied to Stanford University in California, and they were asked to select one person from history or literature that they would like to have dinner with, and of course what they might talk about during that dinner conversation. So this one student that I had chose to meet with and talk about the Renaissance politician and writer Niccolo Machiavelli, who's most famous for having written the book The Prince. And one of the nice ideas, one of the nice things about choosing that particular topic is that it not only revealed the students' interest and knowledge about an important work of literature, but it also revealed something of their creative side as well. The important thing to realize here is that no matter what topic you choose to write about, please make sure that it's narrowly focused. Although your essay is going to be personal, it is not necessary to tell your whole life story from birth to present. Instead, what I advise, and most people, most college admissions officers appreciate this, is that you choose one event in your life that was most meaningful to you. All right, if you can choose that one event that was most meaningful to you in your life, it'll help bring focus to your essay and it'll make it much easier, in fact, to write. So interesting essays, I'll talk a little bit about this. Interesting essays usually focus on an event that changed the way that you think and behave, all right? Students are in constant development from the time that they first enter school and even through their college years. But high school is in particularly a time of growth. Freshmen are never going to be the same person in any way, shape, or form, both physically and emotionally, by the time that they become seniors. But high school is an exciting time because there are a lot of opportunities in which you will be thrown into an experience that you may never have had before, and you're then going to be asked perhaps to solve a problem. And that's another topic that if you're not assigned a topic, that you could actually choose. Winning essays tend to focus on a problem that the student had in his or her life, and then talks about how they attempted to solve that problem. What should come out in those essays is what you, as the student who's writing the essay, think about that topic, but just as importantly, what you feel about that topic. Because both your thoughts and your feelings will bring together a complete picture of who you are, and it's going to give the colleges an opportunity to see you as an individual, as a person, and as a distinct person from all of the other students that are applying to school. If we could turn to slide 3. Once you finally know what you want to write about, you should think about that topic very, very carefully. So do not wait until the last minute or even the night before to write your college application. Instead, what I would recommend is that as soon as you begin the process of applying to college, you should also begin the process of writing your essay. Believe me, taking your time to write a very good essay and doing it early on will take a lot of pressure off of you. It will also give you opportunities to make changes along the way that will help improve your essay. So once you finally decide on a topic, and there are several good topics to choose, you should begin outlining your ideas on paper. Now, many students make the mistake of thinking that they need to begin writing right away. As an English teacher, I always encourage my students to begin with an outline, which means that you introduce the topic and you begin to make a list of things that you want to say in response to that topic. Believe me, it makes your life a lot easier when you're able to break out your ideas in small steps, all right? Once you take the time to do that, when it comes time to actually writing complete sentences, you will find it's very easy to do. So I encourage students to think carefully about the topic and to begin writing using an outline. All right, if we could go to, let's see here. Let's go to slide number 4, all right? Now, if you've chosen your own topic to write about, then you just need to concentrate on the topic that you've chosen, and that's a little bit easier to do. But most students are going to be asked to respond to an essay prompt. Again, one of the most common ones, and I think you'll find this on the college, the common application that students fill out, is to tell us about why you want to go to that school. So, and what you have to contribute to the campus life. When you are writing that essay, do not lose sight of that particular prompt, all right? Make sure that you are answering the question. Don't try to go too far afield. But it's also something that students in school with their English teachers will remember, that that's something that they always need to do. So writing the college application essay is not all that different from any other kind of essay that you're writing in high school. All right, let's go to slide number 5. All right. what you should also do when you're starting to write your essay is to remember to share something about yourself, details. Too often students might write about a particular event and then fail to talk about their role in that event. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. A few years back, I had a student who wrote about her experience and her family's experience responding to the effects of Hurricane Katrina. Many of you may remember just how bad that storm was. People lost property. There was a great deal of flooding. This particular student, the flooding was so bad that she actually had to move into a neighbor's house who lived a little bit farther away. And while she did talk about Hurricane Katrina, and she did a good job of describing what she saw, she did not bring in enough of her own thoughts and feelings about the things that she was observing. And when I brought that to her attention and we worked through the essay, her voice then started to come through. We could hear exactly what she was thinking and what she was feeling. So always remember when you're writing an essay that even if you're describing an event, you do need to step in as a student and talk about your own thoughts and feelings. Truthfully, when you're able to do that, again, your reader will know you a lot better. They will see you as an individual and not just a collection of students who are applying to the school. Let's turn to slide 6. One of the things that I always talk to my students about when I assign them an essay to write, whether it is the college application essay or any essay in school, is to remember their audience. Now, this is important. You need to know who you're writing to, because that's going to help determine how you write your essay and the level of language that you use. Colleges, what I would advise for colleges is to err on the side of being conservative, of being cautious, all right? Informal language, as we know, is perfectly appropriate when you're speaking with your friends, or maybe even relaxed around the dinner table talking with your parents. But a college application is a little bit more formal. So try to avoid using humor that you may not be sure is appropriate for your particular kind of essay. Do not use slang. That's fine for sporting events or for informal gatherings, but in a college level essay, it's more appropriate to speak on a more formal level. Your audience in the college application essay, of course, are adults who are members of the admissions committee who are going to be reading this carefully and want to really know how you think and your level of vocabulary and the way that you are able to compose sentences. In other words, being able to know who it is that you're writing to. All right, let's go to slide number 7. One of the other pieces of advice I give you is to avoid tackling too much of your life. And what I mean by that is, even though this is a personal essay, you're not being required to tell your life story from birth to the present. It's much better to take a particular slice, a particular moment in your life, and just focus on that. I had said earlier that I think it's oftentimes students will find it easier and they'll have more success if they focus on a crisis in their life, a moment where they actually had a problem and they're honest. You know, if we have a problem, we usually are afraid, okay? Or we may not know what to do. And that's perfectly acceptable to include in a college essay. And then the rest of the essay would proceed to talk about how you attempted to solve those problems. It's even more interesting if you attempt to solve the problem and your attempt fails. See, many students think that you have to keep repeating and focusing on the positive. And yes, you want to do that, but failure is not always such a bad thing if you're able to talk about how you responded to it and what you did to actually turn that failure into a success. I just want to add one more point to that as well. It's not even really necessary for you to actually succeed at solving the problem by the time that you're finished writing the essay. More importantly, would be concluding your essay by saying what you learned from the experience and how that experience actually changed you. Think of it in every student who's ever read a work of fiction, and this is one of the reasons why I love teaching English, is that we read about people who have had experiences that we may not have had ourselves. And every good piece of literature, the reason why teachers teach these kinds of works of literature is because there's always going to be a change in the character. And you as a student are that character, and you are writing about your evolution, the way that you have changed as a result of your experience and what you have learned and what you've realized from it. If you can actually communicate that in a college application essay, you're going to have a very, very good and very interesting essay to read and to submit. All right. Just want to briefly talk about introductions. Think of an introduction to an essay as similar to a first impression. If you were going in for an interview, you would be dressed appropriately. You would already keep in mind a few ideas about what you want to talk about. That's going to create a strong and positive impression with your interviewer. But the same thing applies also in writing an essay. A good, strong introduction, and a consultant can show you how to do that. But if you don't choose a consultant, certainly go to your English teacher, go to your history teacher, any class that requires you to write, go to a guidance counselor, all right? They will be able to give you some help on how to write a very strong introduction. But your goal with an introduction, of course, is to grab the reader's attention and make them want to continue to read. Now, that's a skill, and it can be taught and it can be shown. Again, whether you choose a consultant or whether you go to your English teacher for help with an introduction is entirely up to you, but it is something that I do stress its importance in the essay. If we can go to slide 11, be specific. I want to talk a little bit about specifics. Whenever you write an essay, whenever a student writes an essay, they should constantly be thinking that if they're going to introduce an example, for instance, they should explain why that example is important. Always ask yourself the question, why? Why am I including that? And what do I want my reader to realize about me if I include that particular piece of information? All right, let's go to slide 15, getting feedback. So one of the other things I want to stress here is that you are not really writing your college application alone, all right? Of course, it is your responsibility, but you will find it much easier if you have somebody else that you can work with who will be able to give you feedback on your writing. I recommend going to your English teacher or your history teacher or a guidance counselor, or visiting a company that has consultants that can actually help prepare you for these kinds of essays. But feedback, no matter who you go to, is extremely important. The person that you talk to and that you trust will be able to tell you whether or not your language is the appropriate level. That person should be able to tell you whether the topic is also appropriate. If you are a naturally funny person and you have a great sense of humor, they'll also be able to tell you whether or not that's coming through, and more importantly, that it is acceptable and not inappropriate. So I encourage you to get feedback on your essays. The other thing, though, that I want to caution you about is to choose 1 or 2 people. You don't need to get too many more people involved in reading and giving you feedback. And I'll tell you why. If you have 3 or 4 or 5 people who are giving you feedback, you may tend to get confused. You may not know how to weigh their information to make the changes to improve it. So try to just choose who you talk to about improving your essay. Choose that person carefully. Let's go to slide 17. There seems to be pressure with many students to make themselves different from everybody else. All you need to do is be yourself, all right? That's all you can be, and that's all the colleges really want to see. And have confidence that who you are is good enough, because that is going to be the most honest way to approach your essays. A couple of more things I just want to say before I wrap this up. After you have outlined your essay, after you have written your essay, after you have sought feedback from teachers, you want to then proofread your essay to make sure that it's free of errors in grammar, spelling, punctuation, and even facts. Facts are extremely important to get right. But I also want to tell you that it's not, I don't want you to feel that you have to write a masterpiece. All right, it's more important to write a more honest essay than it is to write a perfect essay. A perfect essay in any event is always elusive, even for professional writers. So take that pressure off of your shoulders and just be concerned about making sure that your thoughts, your feelings, and your honesty comes through in the essay. When I mentioned proofreading, yes, you want to have a clean essay. But honestly, if you make 1 or 2 spelling errors or 1 or 2 punctuation errors, the colleges are not going to hold that against you. In fact, I have recently read an article in the New York Times that confirms what I'm telling you. That in this article, they actually interviewed college admissions officers who said that a perfectly polished essay suggests that the writer did not write his own essay, that he may have given it to a parent to look for. And that's something that they don't, pardon me, that's something that they actually do not encourage. So again, that should take some pressure off. And I know there's going to be a lot of pressure when it comes time to writing the essays. I want to remind you that there are certain ways to take that pressure off by just simply allowing yourself to be. I'm running out of time at this point, but I'd like to thank you all for listening to me. And if you have any questions, the last slide provides us with the name of the school where I teach, Ivy Road Prep. There should be a phone number and an email address. And if you are able to take your phone and take a snapshot of the screen that shows our name, our telephone number, and our email, you should feel free to call the school, and we'll be happy to talk to you about how to write the college application, how to fill out a college application, and any of the other things that Ivy Road Prep provides students so that they can succeed in their college application process. So I think that's all that I'm going to say for now, and I look forward to answering your questions during the Q&A. Thank you so much for listening.